I'm a 22-year-old female, and I recently just moved into a nice apartment in a safe neighborhood with my 2 dogs Buddy and Fluffy. Buddy is a Chihuahua and is the most loving but overly obnoxious dog, while Fluffy is a Corgi who is quiet, sweet, and most definitely scared shitless of his own shadow. I've only been in my new place for about a month, and after this experience, I highly doubt I'm gonna make it here for the duration of my year-long lease. The way these apartments are set up is that each floor has its own set of doors that lead to 4 apartments and a fire escape door that only opens from the inside. I'm on the back side of the building, which places my patio about 10 feet from the fire escape stairs. I take my dogs out 3 times a day, midnight being the absolute latest I will go outside by myself, and every time I leave my apartment, I put the bar lock on my patio door and lock my front door without fail. About a week ago, we had a snowstorm, and I cracked my patio door just a little because, well, I love cold weather, and I'm an adult, so if I want to watch a snowfall, then I'll watch the snowfall. But that was my first mistake. It was around 11 p.m., and I decided that since it was getting late, I should take the dogs out for the night because they both love snow. This would just be a quick trip. Anyway, I go to lock the patio door, then decide against it because I am on the 5th floor, and I'm only going to be outside for a few minutes. I get the dogs ready, grab my keys, and lock my door as I leave the apartment. I get down to the designated pet area with my beloved snow-loving dogs and let them do their thing. Then back to the apartment we go. We got back in safely, or so I thought. This is where I thought I was losing my mind, but in actuality, shit was about to get real. As soon as we walk into the apartment, my dogs run over to the patio door, and I notice the door is shut and the bar is locked. That was my second mistake. I immediately thought that was strange, but I didn't connect the dots. I go into the kitchen to get dog treats, and both dogs start going crazy and growling at a large cedar chest in my living room. As I'm headed to see what all the commotion is about, I see a pair of eyes creeping from under the chest lid. I stood there for about 5 seconds before I realized what I was seeing and calmly walked backward to my front door, opened it, and told my dogs, "Let's go outside." They run out, and I immediately get them and myself in the car before locking the doors and calling the police. Thankfully, the police show up in less than 5 minutes, and they go up to my apartment. After anxiously waiting in my car for about 20 minutes, 2 officers come out, and they're dragging what appeared to be a 40-year-old man out of my building in cuffs. This isn't all, though. This dude had been watching me since I moved in and had been staking out my place, waiting for an opportunity to get inside because he knew I lived alone. And if that's not creepy enough already, he had a fanny pack, and inside was a pocket knife, needles, and ketamine. Alongside all of that, there was also a picture of me from the day I moved in. His plan was to sneak in through my patio door, wait for me to fall asleep, and God knows what else. Needless to say, I didn't sleep for days because I thought he would come back. Luckily, the bastard is still in jail, but I'll never forget those eyes.
I woke up to tons of snow outside, and without even checking the news, I knew that we had the day off from school that day. While most kids were outside playing, sledding, and building snowmen, I was going door to door and asking if I could shovel driveways. I always had the entrepreneurial spirit, and in a blizzard like this, all I saw was dollar signs. It was about 12 in the afternoon, and despite it snowing, it was pretty hot underneath all my snow gear from all the shoveling. I decided I would do one more house before I went back to my place and took a break. I knocked on the door, and at first, I didn't think anyone was home. All the lights were off, and there was no car in the driveway. Just as I was about to walk away, the door opened. An old man stood in front of me, but not just any old man. His hair was wild, he had stains all over his shirt, and his teeth were stained yellow. At first glance, I thought he looked like a homeless maniac, but I quickly put on my business face and asked the man if he would like me to shovel his driveway. I told him my prices, and he agreed, giving me a big toothy smile. I shook off the weird feeling that I was getting and got to work. What did it matter what he looked like? I thought, now I'm here to work, not to judge. Half an hour later, I went back to his front door, his driveway cleared and shoveled, to collect the pay. The man opened the front door, looked at the driveway, gave a nod of approval, and told me to come inside. He has the money in there. I was still a bit creeped out by this man but thought, what the heck, just go in for a second, get the money, and then leave. I stepped inside. It was completely dark, the only light was the bright snow reflecting through the front windows. I felt uncomfortable. The old man said to wait right there, the money was upstairs. I stood there, watching him go up the stairs slowly. The house reeked, and something was definitely rotting, but I could not tell what. Trash was littered everywhere, empty liquor bottles, beer cans, and other food wrappings were all over the ground. I was starting to become very concerned because there was no way a human being could live in this kind of condition. I felt uneasy when I heard movement coming from upstairs. Then there was a loud bang, like something falling to the ground. From the top of the stairs, the old man poked his head around the corner and told me to come up the stairs, and he would give me the money. The smell, the darkness, the trash everywhere, and the fact that I've seen plenty of horror movies were all enough for me to know that I needed to get out of there. I did not say anything to the old man and just sprinted out his front door and back into the blizzard. I know it was rude on my part, but I did not care. I just had to get out of that house. I ran all the way home, which took longer than normal because of how deep the snow was. When I got home, my parents asked me what was wrong and why did I have that horrified look on my face. I told them about the old man and his house. As I told my story, my parents' faces grew more and more concerned. When I finished telling about the terrifying man, they asked what house was this and the address. I told them, and that's when my parents gasped in shock. They saw the confused look on my face and explained, the house that I went to with the crazy old man has been an empty house in their town for over 5 years now. No one was supposed to be living in it, and it was as good as abandoned. This startled me to my core. We ended up calling a local officer to go and check the place out, but when they got to the house, no one was there. They searched the entire property and found nothing. It was empty. To this day, I have no clue who that old man was and what he was doing in that house. I'm just thankful to God that I did not go upstairs and get the money.
My wife and I were staying in a cabin up north in the Upper Peninsula. We were taking a quick vacation. It was the perfect getaway for us. We both had time off from work, and the kids were with their grandparents all week, giving us all the free time in the world. The cabin was very secluded, and we were a good 10-minute drive, at least, from any homes or stores. We were the only sign of life, besides the animals, of course. But even then, it was extremely quiet, though also very peaceful and exactly what we needed. The first night was amazing, and nothing crazy happened. It was everything we hoped for. The second night was the same, everything was going just fine. The third day, though, was a whole different story. It was early in the morning, and I went to the store to pick up some things that we needed. When I went to check out, Takashi was being a little nosy and a little too personal, asking me a lot of weird questions. He seemed a bit strange to me, but I figured I was just overthinking, and maybe he was a bored and lonely old man trying to make basic conversation. I brushed it off and walked out of the store to my car, and he followed me all the way outside, staring at me pretty much the whole time. Okay, now I knew something was off. This guy was actually weird. I thought about how sketchy that whole thing was on my drive home, and I even told my wife about it. She thought it was weird too, but we ended up forgetting about it. Come nightfall, around 7:30, 8 o'clock at the latest, there was a strange noise coming from outside. I muted the TV and asked Sarah, my wife, if she heard that as well. What did I hear? She asked. I told her I heard something loud outside and that I was surprised she didn't hear it. She must have been dozed off while she was in my lap or something because it was pretty loud. Anyways, I got up to investigate and looked out the window. What I saw was disturbing. There were 3 men closing in on our property, maybe 50 feet away, walking in our direction. I immediately flipped out and told Sarah to run and lock the door while I grabbed the gun. I turned the lights off and made sure we stayed as quiet as possible. I wasn't sure how much of a threat they were, but something inside of me told me it wasn't good. I looked back out the same window, but this time they were gone. It kind of made me feel better, like maybe they were just passing through and happened to cross paths with us. But right after I had that thought, there were multiple knocking sounds coming from different areas of the cabin, one from the door and the other two on the opposite side of the house on the windows. Sarah literally screamed because it jump scared her that badly. "We know you're in there. Now come out here like a man, or we'll have to do this the hard way," the stranger said from outside the door. I told him that I had a gun and that he better get the hell out of here before it's too late. He started laughing, as if he didn't care or thought I was faking it. Either way, it kind of freaked me out even more because now I began to wonder if they had a gun too. Why wouldn't you be scared of someone with a gun? You would either have to be a legit psychopath or someone with a gun. I told him I wasn't joking and that I'm not going to warn him again. Then, all of a sudden, the men began kicking the door, trying to get it open. They actually managed to kick it open rather quickly, and when they did, they were greeted with my gun to their faces. I literally shot at them without even thinking about it, and I hit one of them in the leg. They seemed shocked, and the other two guys panicked and begged me not to hurt them as they carried their friend off. I called the police, of course, but there wasn't a whole lot they could do. The man never went to the hospital for his injury, so even to this day, we have no idea who they were. There's something wrong about this town and the people in it. I don't know how to explain it. Maybe I'm insane or paranoid. What I do know for a fact is that those people were crazy, and I don't even know what they wanted. It's a good thing they didn't have a gun, though, because maybe things would have been a lot messier. We packed our things the very next morning and ended our mini vacation early. We never went back to that cabin, and we definitely never will.
I hope you found these stories as chilling and unsettling as I did. It's a stark reminder that sometimes reality can be stranger and more frightening than fiction. If you enjoyed these tales of suspense, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more spine-chilling content. This is your host, Nicholas Black. Until next time.